You're on the verge of success. That promotion is within your grasp. That healthy relationship is finally starting to feel real, safe. That creative project you've poured your soul into is about to be completed. And then, a strange, familiar impulse takes over. You do it. You procrastinate on the final report until the deadline is impossible. You pick an explosive fight over something trivial. You abandon the project, convincing yourself it was a flawed idea from the start. You pull the rug out from under your own feet again. Why? Why does it seem like you are living with your own worst enemy, sharing your own mind with a dedicated saboteur? Why do you build a future of promise with one hand only to relentlessly tear it down with the other? This isn't just about a lack of willpower or discipline. That's a surface-level explanation for a deep-seated phenomenon. According to Carl Jung, this act of self-sabotage is not random. It is a profound, often desperate message from the most chaotic depths of your psyche. And the answer to why, as Jung himself illuminated, is far more shocking, complex, and ultimately more liberating than you might imagine. You know this feeling intimately. It's the bitter aftertaste of missed opportunities, the haunting ghost of what could have been. It's the frustration of meticulously planning your finances, only to find yourself making an impulsive, reckless purchase that sets you back months. It's the pain of finally meeting someone kind, stable, and genuinely interested, and then, inexplicably, becoming distant, critical, or finding a reason to push them away, convincing yourself they were too nice or boring. On a conscious level, you want success, love, and peace. You write the to-do lists. You make the New Year's resolutions. You visualize your goals, but an invisible force, a powerful psychological undertow, seems to drag you in the exact opposite direction. It feels like a civil war is raging inside of you. One part of you, the conscious ego, strives for the light, for growth, for what you think you want. But another, more powerful part, seems perversely dedicated to keeping you in the familiar darkness, the familiar struggle. This internal conflict creates a devastating cycle of shame and frustration. You turn your anger inward. You label yourself with brutal names: lazy, undisciplined, a failure, or simply broken. You start to believe there is something fundamentally wrong with you, that you are uniquely incapable of achieving happiness. But what if this self-sabotaging force isn't your enemy at all? What if, in its own twisted, unconscious way, it's trying to protect you? What if it's a symptom of a much deeper, unhealed conflict? Carl Jung provides us with the map to understand this inner war, to see that what we call sabotage is often a misguided attempt at survival. For Carl Jung, self-sabotage is the external manifestation of a profound internal and unconscious conflict. It's crucial to understand that there is no single unified you making these decisions. Your psyche is a complex ecosystem of different parts, or complexes, each with its own history, desires, and fears, often at war with each other. Your conscious ego, the you think you are, wants one thing, but a powerful, unacknowledged complex in your unconscious, a cluster of repressed memories and emotions, wants something else entirely. The sabotage is simply the moment the unconscious complex wins the battle and hijacks your behavior. Jung's answer to why is not a simple behavioral flaw. It lies in the intricate, often tragic relationship between our conscious goals and our unhealed wounds, our repressed shadow, and our deepest, often terrifying fears of change and the unknown. He would argue that self-sabotage is rarely about a genuine desire to fail. It is almost always about one of these three hidden dynamics. 1. A desperate unconscious attempt to stay in a familiar and therefore safe state of suffering. 2. The violent eruption of a disowned shadow self that feels fundamentally unworthy of success or happiness. 3. A hidden, unconscious loyalty to an old family pattern, belief, or curse. Let's dive into these chaotic depths and see how these powerful forces play out in your life, often without your permission. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive yet most powerful reason for self-sabotage. Your psyche, especially its older, more primitive parts, is not primarily concerned with your happiness. It is concerned with your survival. And what is safer than what is already known? Even if your current situation is one of misery, loneliness, or failure, it is a familiar misery. You know its rules. You know its landscape. You have developed coping mechanisms for it. You have survived it so far. Success, on the other hand, is a new, uncharted territory. A healthy, loving relationship is an unknown land with no map. Financial abundance brings new problems and new social dynamics. Being truly seen and recognized is a vulnerable, unknown state, and the unknown is utterly terrifying to the unconscious mind. So, it sabotages your forward momentum to protect you by keeping you in the familiar prison. The relationship saboteur. Imagine you've only ever known chaotic, neglectful, or abusive relationships. Now, you meet someone who is consistently kind, communicative, and reliable. Your conscious mind is thrilled, but your unconscious sounds a 5-alarm fire. It whispers, "This is a trap. It's too good to be true. When will the other shoe drop?" This level of peace is unnerving, so you begin to unconsciously recreate the chaos you know. You become overly critical of them, searching for a flaw that proves they're not who they seem. You imagine betrayals that aren't happening. You pick fights to test their limits, secretly hoping they will fail the test and prove your old painful belief that love is unsafe and I will always be abandoned. You are not pushing them away. You are desperately running back to the familiar safety of your own pain. Look back at a good thing you may have destroyed. Was there a part of you that felt deeply uncomfortable, even bored, with the peace and stability it brought into your life? The career procrastinator. Offered a promotion that comes with more responsibility, a higher salary, and more visibility. This is what you've consciously worked for. But as the deadline for a key project that would seal the deal approaches, you find yourself paralyzed. You scroll endlessly through social media. You suddenly decide to deep clean your entire apartment. You do anything but the essential work. Why? Because your current role, with its familiar complaints and known limitations, is a safe harbor. The new role means new expectations, a higher chance of a more public failure, and being seen in a new light. Your unconscious sabotages the opportunity to protect you from the terror of that new, unknown pressure. You'd rather fail on your own terms now than risk failing on a bigger stage later. What great success are you on the verge of that also secretly terrifies you to your core? Your shadow, as we've explored, holds all the parts of yourself that you have deemed unacceptable and pushed into the darkness. A common powerful element in many people's shadow is a deep-seated core belief of being unworthy, unlovable, a fraud, or fundamentally flawed. This feeling might have been instilled in you by relentlessly critical parents, shaming experiences in childhood, or societal messages that you never quite measured up. You can build a successful shiny persona, a mask of competence and confidence on top of this feeling, but the shadow doesn't disappear. It waits. It watches. And just as you are about to achieve something truly great, something that directly contradicts this core negative belief, the shadow erupts with incredible force to prove itself right and restore its version of order. The imposter syndrome strikes back. You've worked harder than anyone. You've earned your success. You're about to give a major presentation, launch your business, or receive a prestigious award. The night before, you get senselessly drunk, you accidentally lose your notes, or you have a debilitating panic attack that leaves you unable to perform. This is your shadow screaming from the depths. You don't deserve this. You're a fraud, and now everyone will finally find out. The act of sabotage becomes a twisted, self-fulfilling prophecy. It's psychologically easier for your shadow to orchestrate a failure and confirm the old familiar belief, "I knew I wasn't good enough," than it is to embrace success and live with the terrifying constant anxiety of being an imposter. The good thing, repellent, your life is finally improving. You're making more money, you've found a loving and stable partner, you feel healthier, and then, out of nowhere, you're hit with a wave of depression, anxiety, or a strange nihilistic boredom. You start making reckless decisions that threaten everything you've built. Why? Because happiness and success are a direct threat to a shadow identity built on a foundation of suffering and lack. A part of you doesn't know who you are without your struggle. The struggle is your identity. So, your psyche sabotages the good things to return you to a familiar, albeit painful state of being. When things in your life start going exceptionally right, do you ever feel a strange, almost guilty sense of anxiety or a powerful urge to mess it all up? That's your shadow fighting for its very survival. This is one of the deepest, most complex, and often overlooked reasons for self-sabotage. We are not isolated individuals. We are all part of a family system, a psychological lineage. We unconsciously carry the unresolved traumas, limiting beliefs, and unspoken curses of our parents and even our ancestors. Jung would say, we are connected to this history through the collective unconscious. On an unconscious level, achieving a level of success, happiness, or love that our family members never could can feel like a profound act of betrayal, the financial saboteur. Perhaps you grew up in a family where money was always a source of struggle and anxiety. Perhaps you were taught that rich people are greedy, money is the root of all evil, or simply, we are not the kind of people who succeed financially. Now, as an adult, you are on the verge of a major financial breakthrough. This conscious success might feel to your unconscious like you are abandoning your family, leaving your tribe behind, that you are becoming one of them, the perceived enemy. So you might make a catastrophic investment, lend money you know you'll never get back, or simply lose your drive and stop working as hard. You sabotage your success out of a hidden, profound, and tragic loyalty to your family's identity and its limitations. The relationship loyalist, if you are the child of divorced parents or grew up in a home filled with conflict and unhappy relationships, a part of you might unconsciously believe that a stable, happy, long-term relationship is not possible or even allowed for you. To have a genuinely happy marriage might feel like a betrayal of your mother's or father's suffering. It would mean proving their reality wrong. So, just as a promising relationship gets serious and stable, you find yourself sabotaging it. You pick fights, you cheat, you emotionally withdraw, all driven by a subconscious loyalty to the familiar family pattern of failure you inherited. Think about your family's history with money, love, or professional success. Is your self-sabotage in any way keeping you loyal to a painful story that isn't even truly yours? The most difficult and most liberating truth you must swallow is this. The force that sabotages you is not an external enemy. It is not bad luck. It is not the universe conspiring against you. It is a part of you. It is a disowned, frightened, or wounded part of your own psyche, acting out its own distorted logic from the darkness of the unconscious. To fight it, to hate it, to try and kill it, is to declare war on yourself. This will only entrench it further and make it stronger. You cannot defeat your saboteur by force, because it feeds on your self-hatred and shame. The only way to disarm it, to heal it, is to approach it with curiosity and compassion, to understand its purpose. Why is it so afraid of success? What terrible catastrophe does it think it's protecting you from? What old, painful story is it trying to honor with its loyalty? Your self-sabotage is a symptom, not the disease. The disease is the inner split, the unhealed wound, the unintegrated shadow. The act of sabotage is a desperate, misguided attempt by a part of you to maintain a sense of safety, if that safety is a prison of misery. The path to overcoming self-sabotage is not one of greater discipline, harsher self-talk, or more willpower. That is a conscious ego battle that you will almost always lose. The true path is one of deep inner work, of compassion, and of integration. 1. Personify the saboteur, active imagination. When you feel that familiar, dreadful urge to sabotage yourself, do not act on it. Stop. Close your eyes. Invite that part of you to come forward. Give it a name, an image, a voice. Is it a frightened child hiding in a corner? Is it a cynical old man who has seen too much? Is it a rebellious teenager lashing out? Ask it, without judgment, what are you afraid will happen if I succeed? What are you trying to protect me from? Listen for the answer. It might come as a feeling, an image, or a single word. This is the beginning of a dialogue, not a battle. 2. Uncover the core belief. Dig deeper. Behind the fear is always a core belief, an old law written on your soul. I am unworthy. I will be abandoned if I change. Success is dangerous. I am not safe. Your job is to identify this foundational belief. Where did it come from? Who taught it to you? The key is to see it not as an absolute truth about reality, but as an old, inherited, and now outdated story. 3. Conscious reassurance and negotiation. Once you understand the fear and the core belief, you can begin a conscious, compassionate dialogue. Speak to that part of you like a kind and wise parent would speak to a terrified child. I understand you're afraid we'll be rejected if we stand out. I hear that. But we are an adult now. We have new resources and new strengths to handle that possibility. I will not abandon you, even if others do. You are not fighting it, you are re-educating it. You are negotiating a new, healthier contract with this part of your psyche. 4. Take small, safe steps towards success. Do not try to conquer the world overnight. This will only terrify your saboteur and trigger a massive backlash. Instead, take small, manageable, almost under-the-radar steps. Feel safe enough to that part of you. Complete one small, intimidating task. Stay in a healthy, loving conversation for 5 more minutes without running away. Put a small, non-threatening amount of money into a savings account. Each small victory builds a new body of evidence for your unconscious that change, success, and happiness are not fatal. 5. Celebrate the effort, not just the outcome. When you successfully resist the urge to sabotage, that is the moment to celebrate. Acknowledge the immense inner strength it took. Celebrate that internal victory. Even if the final external outcome isn't perfect, you are not just building new habits, you are rewiring your brain and healing your soul. You are building a new habit of self-support rather than one of self-destruction. As you begin to build this inner dialogue, a profound, almost alchemical shift occurs. The saboteur, once seen as a monstrous enemy, starts to feel like a misguided, traumatized protector. By offering it understanding and compassion instead of hatred and shame, its power to disrupt your life diminishes. It begins to feel safe, it begins to integrate, and its raw, powerful energy becomes available to you not as sabotage, but as determination, wisdom, and resilience. You stop being at war with yourself. The exhausting cycles of shame and frustration begin to break, and you will find that you are no longer just wishing for success. You are allowing yourself to inhabit it. You are no longer just wanting love. You are becoming a person capable of sustaining it. This is the shocking and beautiful answer Jung provides. You don't overcome self-sabotage by destroying the saboteur. You overcome it by loving it into wholeness. This inner exploration is just the beginning. There are countless more truths awaiting you in the chaotic depths of your soul. In what area of your life does your inner saboteur show up the most? What do you think it's trying to protect you from? Share your own experiences with self-sabotage in the comments. Your story could be the very thing someone else needs to read to feel less alone on this difficult path. If this journey into the why of self-destruction resonated with you, subscribe to Chaotic Depths and like this video, because understanding the enemy within is the first step to becoming your own greatest ally.